In today's tutorial, we're gonna create this realistic 3D gummy letter in Procreate. You will learn every step layer by layer, from the base letter and drop shadows, to placing different shades of red, adding gummy air bubbles, building volume, reflections and transparency to get a super realistic gummy effect you can then apply to different letters or illustrations. By the way, don't forget to download your free brushes and color palette. This piece is part of this month's Patreon theme, where we get to play with the color red through a bunch of tutorials and little challenges. If you want to keep learning and push your lettering and illustration further, Patreon is now home to 70 plus tutorials waiting for you. Here are some of this month's results from our members. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna tap on the plus sign, and again. Now here, since I'm in Europe, I always use centimeters if you've watched any of the tutorials that I've done in the past. So I'm gonna choose centimeters, and my width is gonna be 30 times 22. You obviously don't have to use centimeters, you could use anything else like inches or pixels as well, that's also good. Now, for DPI, I'm gonna go with 500. Remember that the minimum is 300 if you want to print it afterwards, or if you want to use this for something else after, so it's not pixelized. So with the 500 DPI, I can actually make this a little bit bigger and without losing any quality if I print it out. So I always go for a bit like further than 300. Now, when it comes to the color profile, I always use Display P3 RGB. If I need CMYK after, I can always just go ahead and transform it. I usually use Photoshop for that, because then you can adjust the colors and stuff, but you could also do it in Procreate. But right now, we just want to focus on something RGB, because I'm gonna do this mainly for screens. So let's start. Now, for this exercise, you could either use a font, so you could go to the wrench tool, add, and then here add text. You can go to the transform tool, make it bigger. You could choose any text that you want, a letter or a whole word or whatever. Today we're gonna play with the word red, and I'm actually gonna show you just the letter R and how to add all the effects on the letter R, because otherwise it's gonna take us a little bit too much time. But once you know how to do the effect on the letter R, you will be able to add it anywhere else, because you're gonna see that it's very easy. Now, when we enter here, we could like go with the letter R. And today I don't want any sharp corners, because we're gonna do a gummy bear. So, well, gummy. So everything should be smooth, no sharp corners, everything super gummy-like. So there is one font that I really like if you would like to use it instead of doing the letter yourself. That is called Smooth Soul. And this is the font that I used in one of the challenges over at Patreon for this month. So you can go check it out as well. And now I'm just gonna erase it because I'm gonna start with my letter. But I wanna show you a little bit which brushes we're gonna use. Remember that I am giving you these brushes today. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can find the link in the description below. That's gonna take you to Patreon. And obviously, if you're checking this from Patreon, you're gonna find the brushes attached and also linked in the post. We're just gonna use a clean lines brush, few bubbles, this ink blobs from my loose ink set that you can also find in the description below, and the soft brush for adding lights and shadows. Now, for the color palette that I'm also giving you today is the same one that I used for this month's candy tutorial. Now, I'm gonna go to select a pencil. You could go to the Procreate library and go here onto pencils, and you can choose any pencil. It's really not important for today's exercise or for any sketching. But anyways, I'm just going to choose one of my pencils, and I'm gonna do something that actually looks like one of the tutorials that I did in the past. It's gonna be maybe like a letter R that is gonna like be a little wavy like that. Yeah, I'm gonna do something like this. So now this is just the main skeleton, the structure, and I'm gonna now round it up Let's see. Yeah, something like this. Now here I'm gonna go with the eraser and just erase some of the parts just so I see what I'm doing clearer. Yeah, this is good. Let's make it chunky. Yeah, actually I can leave this like this. Now, if you are not satisfied with the shape, which pretty much I am, I think this is gonna be fun, you could always go to the transform tool, and then here you could go to either warp or distort, and then you could just play with it a little bit until you are satisfied. In the warp, for example, you could go to the advanced mesh and you can just push and pull until you like the shape. Great. I'm gonna go with this one. So I'm gonna go again to transform, freeform, just gonna center it here, more or less. Now I'm gonna go to the layers panel, tap on the letter N and bring the opacity down, create a new layer. And I'm gonna be using one of these two reds, and the second one probably, like this dark one. And I'm gonna go to the brush set that I've given you and go to clean lines. Now, I'm gonna start making this smoother. Always with one curve at a time, without complicating our lives really. You can always also use the smart shape tool like this if you don't lift the pencil off of the screen. There. Great, we got it. Now let's drop the color in. Turn off the sketch, or you can actually erase it, we won't use it. And I think here I see something that I don't like, so I'm just gonna make it better with the same eraser and then painting it again. Okay, perfect. Great, so now the first thing that I'm gonna do, now that we have the final letter that we want, I'm gonna tap here on the plus sign, tap on the layer, make it a clipping mask, and now I'm gonna go select the red color, like this one in the middle, and the soft brush. Now I'm gonna do all the corners and leave this dark color right in the center. So I'm gonna start adding red here on all the corners. And always leaving that stronger color inside. Very easy, just taking it easy. Maybe you can make it even bigger and make that transition really smooth. There. Okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna go with this one right here, and I'm gonna do a bit more. Now transition is gonna be in between this and the new red, so without going inside too much. In today's exercise, I'm gonna retouch a lot of times the colors, so you will see why later. But I like doing it like this because I think if we go step by step like that, building color is way easier. Okay, more or less. Great. So now that we have this, I'm gonna now create another layer, but this time I'm gonna do the drop shadow. So I'm gonna create a new layer and then tap on it and bring it to the background. Now I'm gonna go ahead and select, let's say, this gray color, the third one. And the light source is gonna be here on the left, on the upper left side. So the shadow will come down here. So for the shadow, I'm just gonna do something like this. Just like that. See, everything by hand today, we won't get a lot of shortcuts. Same inside here. A bit, maybe here, just a little bit. Opa, I erased the inside, so let's do it again. Right. Okay, so now another layer on top. And now this time I'm gonna add two colors. So one is gonna be this third one, starting from the right, this one. And I'm gonna add this one that this is kind of like the light that goes through the transparency of the gummy. So this red is going to be right here. There, but here, here, and here. And we are not done for this layer because I'm gonna now add another color. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm gonna go and select a lighter color. So this one right here, and I'm gonna go very, very close to my gummy until I see this difference, you see? Sorry for the noise, I think there's a helicopter outside. Okay, getting somewhere now. Okay, so let's keep building up layers. Now, the third one is gonna be on top of everything, and we're gonna go directly to our bubbles. So for the bubbles, some of them are gonna be a little bit more grayed out, which are gonna be the bubbles that are gonna be right inside of the gummy, and some of them are gonna be a little bit more on the surface. These are like, I think it's kind of like trapped gas or something like that, that when they do the gummy mixture, there is like this kind of like air pockets that just like stay there. So I made a brush, sort of. I made 3 of them because I didn't know which one was better. But I found out like if you use the 3 of them kind of together, they kind of look nice and kind of realistic on the, you know, kind of like the effect that I've seen online on how like these gummies look like. So I'm going to start with the bubbles, trapped bubbles 3, and I'm going to start adding some right here in the center. Maybe these ones can be a little bit more, if you don't press much, these ones can be the ones on the background. Something like that. Yeah, this works. Now the trap bubbles 2, I can make them a little bit bigger. Let's make this into a clipping mask just so it doesn't go outside. And again, maybe like some of them can be a bit bigger. Like that. They shouldn't touch each other much. You can also select them if you want and make them smaller. And the other ones you can also just maybe like make them smaller and place them a little bit everywhere. Great, we got it. Now duplicate this, and then the second one, I'm gonna just make it a little bit with the Gaussian blur and change this mode into overlay. Great. So this starts looking like a gummy already. So now there's gonna be more layers just to add more colors so it looks actually more realistic. Okay, so actually now I'm gonna create a new layer right underneath the bubbles and make it into pin light. Select, let's say, this red, the one in the middle, and I'm gonna start doing some shapes here. If you add more and less pressure, it's gonna help you out. So maybe a bit here. So it looks something like that. Now that we have it, I'm gonna go to adjustments, Gaussian blur, and add a bit of Gaussian blur. Great. So let's go on top of everything else, create a new layer, make it a clipping mask, tap on the N, and this is gonna be the add mode. And with the same brush and the color white, I'm gonna start adding this shape outside. I'm just gonna bring the opacity down just so you see. And I'm gonna keep it like this. But this is gonna be the reflections from the canvas. Now, we won't do this inside here, because that's something we're gonna do later. So we're gonna do these shapes, but so they're not touching on the drop shadow or on this shape, right? So like, let's say we're gonna add a bit more here, for example. Then here, we're gonna start right up here, for example, here. And then here. Up here. So you see, they are not on the same side as the drop shadow. Great. Now I'm gonna go to adjustments again, Gaussian blur. Maybe even the opacity a little bit more down, like this. Now, new layer. Tap on the letter N, make it into add as well. And here we're gonna do something that is gonna add really a lot of realism to our letter. So we're gonna do this kind of shape here, up, somewhere here like that. and it does like this shape. I love this brush. You will see that when you do this, you see, when you go back to what you drew, it kind of joins like it's like liquid. So anyways, we're gonna keep this one up here. Well, let's do it again. Actually, I don't like it, so. One here, one down here. And one here. Great. Now let's bring the opacity down. Like that. And with the eraser and the soft brush, I'm gonna erase a little bit down here, down here, and down here. You can add maybe even a bit more. Let's do now a new layer, and this one is gonna be overlay. And I'm gonna use, I'm gonna use a brush that was in the other tutorial, that it's called the Brighter Vanishing Lights. I'm just gonna bring it here, so you'll have it in the download as well. And in this one, I'm just gonna add one of the things that I always do, that it's pretty much this lines, like thinner lines around my piece. And now again, I'm gonna go to Gaussian blur and just add a little bit of Gaussian blur. And we're almost done here. So another layer. Now remember to make all these clipping masks, I keep forgetting. Another layer also with a clipping mask. And now I'm gonna do something that doesn't look that important, but it is actually for the realism, which is go to the last red, and here I'm gonna make this that it blends perfectly with the transparency light. So something like this. You see, I want this kind of like, see, that it kind of disappears. Great. Now let's go here. Great. Another layer. And now this one will also be clipping mask and with the color white and the soft brush. I'm gonna add the final lights here. So I'm gonna make this into add, bring the opacity down to a 60%. And now here, I'm just gonna make this more illuminated. You can bring it also, you can put it in different places. And that would be our final gummy. Now, maybe even this one, I'm also gonna do just a little bit of Gaussian blur so it's not that defined, just a bit. Maybe like 4%. Yeah, this looks good enough. Now that I have this, I'm gonna go to turn off the background color, go to Actions, Copy Canvas, turn on the background color, go on top of everything else, 3 fingers on the screen, paste. And now I'm just gonna use this one bigger up here. I'm gonna add some Gaussian blur and continue doing that. Then this one here, also Gaussian blur. The bigger, the more Gaussian blur it is. So you could even add the one over here that it's not that big. And just add a little bit of Gaussian. Maybe this one is too close. Now that I have everything else, Actions, Copy Canvas. And as usual, if you've ever taken any of the tutorials that I do, 3 fingers on the screen, paste. And here I'm gonna add a little bit of, actually, I'm gonna just go to hue, saturation, and brightness, maybe bring the saturation a bit up. Something like this. Yeah, this looks more real now. And more gummy-like, tasty. And now go to adjustments again, chromatic aberration, and I'm gonna add something about, I would say like a 10% chromatic aberration, maybe a bit more, 14. And go again to adjustments and a bit of noise just to make this look even better. So maybe like 7%, that would be enough. Okay, so we are done with our piece. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to keep drawing and you enjoyed this one, you can pair it up with my candy tutorial or learn how to create this lollipop instead. See you next time. Bye.